Welcome to the Chassidic Discourse in a nutshell for this week, which, like the name suggests, the idea is to take a Chassidic discourse that is from that pertains to this week and give it to you in a nutshell form, give you the main points. If you don't have a lot of time, you can still follow this and hopefully in about 10 minutes or so get something you can take with you for the week. This week's mimer, this discourse is from the week of Parshas Noach, from Hey Tov Shin Chav Hey, which would have been 1964. The secular year had not changed yet. Begins Mayim Rabim Lo Yuchel Chabis Asavo Naharis Leishtafua, that great waters, raging waters, cannot put out the love, and rivers cannot wash it away. The Alter Rebbe explains in Torah Or of this week's parsha that Mayim Rabim, raging waters, these are the troubles of making a living and being involved in the world, and the hardships of making a living. And these raging waters, they cannot put out the love. There's a level of love that's in every single Jew. That is it's a hidden level of love that every single Jew inherently possesses. And not only will the raging waters not put out this love, but even more so that you can actually progress further in the labor of love through these raging waters. That specifically through these raging waters can you come to a higher level of love, of b'chol ma'odecha, with all of your much, which literally there's different explanations on what b'chol ma'odecha means, but this is a higher level of love which comes through toil. Throughout, it's not just something you're born with, but rather it's a higher level of love that you've worked on. So, what's the way to do this? How do you accomplish this? It is through, as it says in this week's parsha, that God tells to Noach, "Boy ala teva," come into the ark, which another translation of teva, of the word ark for ark, also means into letters or words. So by immersing oneself in the letters and words of prayer, that's how you accomplish this, because prayer, the main point of prayer, is to accomplish a greater love for God. And that's the main accomplishment of prayer, is to awaken a love for God. And in Torah Or, the Alter Rebbe continues that this is the mistake that Bali Asakim make, lay people or people who work, that in their minds they don't have the ability to daven so much, to pray so much like people who are immersed in Torah all the time. But actually, the Alter Rebbe said, it's just the other way around, that they have more of an ability. I mean, first of all, because they probably need it more, but also that they are in the world in a darker place, and we know that in a darker place, a candle in a dark room has a much greater effect than a candle in a room with light. So specifically, they can accomplish more through their davening. And this is what's written in the Igeres HaKodesh of the Alter Rebbe, that on Shabbos and Yom Tov, that those who work on Shabbos and Yom Tov, obviously you don't work, you have more time, and so for sure they should really have a strong focus on their prayer on Shabbos and Yom Tov. But even during the weekdays, it shouldn't be something that's just rushed through and put by the wayside, but rather that even by people who work, the labor of prayer has to be something that gets proper focus. And even if they don't have quite as much time, but at least they should do it, immersing themselves completely into the prayer, and make up for in quality what's lacking in quantity during the weekdays. The only thing that with the only exception that they should not, if possible, if there's other people available, they should not lead the prayer services, but rather other people, such as those who maybe teach, or those who are still are in their father's home. In other words, young men who have not gone out into the world yet, or people who have more time, should lead the prayers so as not to so the whole congregation isn't rushed. another another thing that's another pointer here, not for those who work, but for the Yoshvi Ohalim, those who sit in the tents. In other words, those who study Torah and have the time. That they for sure shouldn't make a mistake to not put proper time into their prayer. It's very important that they put for sure the amount of time into prayer. And even though some will say that over the years it's people have it's become acceptable, whatever it is. But as the Rebbe puts it, that if you come up with excuses, why not to put the proper time in? This is for those who don't work. He says that that this is not a proper way of action, and basically he says that any excuses you have, take it up with the Alter Rebbe, because the Alter Rebbe was against them rushing their davening, and even those who think that they can make up for the quantity and quality, that's only for people who work, and the proof is in what the Alter Rebbe says. Directly that they should spend at least an hour and a half in the davening, and if this wasn't necessary, the Alter Rebbe obviously would not have brought that down. And in addition, he also brings down that if those who have the time to daven and who are involved in Torah all day, if they don't spend the proper time davening, what message are they giving to others? There's an additional diuk, a specification that the Rebbe brings down from what it says, Yoshiva Holim, those who sit in tents, as opposed to just tent, that this applies to also those who their primary study is in Nigla, in Halacha, and in the revealed Torah, as well as those who are whose focus is in Chassidus, that those who their focus is not in Chassidus shouldn't think that it's only for those people who their focus is in Chassidus, that they can take a long time in their davening and have the proper kavanah. But it's important that Yoshvei Ahalis, those who sit in both tents, that they spend the proper time davening. And he brings down what it says, what the Chachamim say, that Kol ha'omer ein li ela Torah, afilu Torah ein li. Somebody who says that I only have Torah, and that's all I need. All I have is Torah. Even Torah he doesn't have. In other words, as opposed to, I have only Torah. I don't need so much tefillah, davening. I don't need prayer so much. But rather, it's very important that the davening should be proper. And both in quantity and quality, both in the time put into it as well as in the focus put into it. And this is Mayim Rabim Lo Yuchlu L'Chabes Za'ava. This is that the raging waters cannot put out the love. That through the effort, through putting in a lot of effort in davening, both for those who are those who sit in the tents and those also who work, not only that this helps get rid of these raging waters, that it helps eliminate the raging waters, that the blessing should come down to make it easier, that they shouldn't have to have so many troubles from making a livelihood. But it also adds in not only not taking away from the labor of love, but really adding to it, to bring to the level, like we said before, of B'chol Ma'idecha, and even to bring to a higher level than B'chol Ma'idecha. There's higher levels of love, which is Achaisi, which is a level that is even higher than B'chol Ma'idecha. And through this focus, even though it's hard and there's the troubles of making a livelihood and all the worries, and through focusing on davening, nonetheless, this is how you come to the even higher level, not only of B'chol Ma'edecha, but even to Achaisi, and until you even come to the point of, it says Hashem sefasai tiftach. We say in the beginning of the Amidah that Hashem will open my lips, ufi yaget hilasachan, my mouth will say your praises. That in other words, that Hashem will open my mouth and my lips, my mouth will become just a vessel for essentially the Eibishter, for the one above, praying through my lips. And in addition, in Torah, the same way that there's Tan l'shayni imresecha, that it's essentially like somebody who's answering after a reader. That God is learning Torah and we're essentially just learning with Him. So that's Chassidic Discourse in a nutshell for this week, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.